Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
All right, we'll test this on the fly. Nope. That's not the right one. Man, what the hell? Thanks a lot, freaking Windows. Let's try that one. And let's try, yeah, that's one. All right. There we go. All right, so now we can do this. How about we try this? Let's try it again. Here we go. Let's start in 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 265, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. We missed 2 weeks and everything goes to hell in a handbasket. My name's Morph. That man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
Holy crap, thanks a lot, Windows, for jacking everything up and resetting all of my settings just because you want to update something on Windows 10. Thank
I'm
you.
curious to go back and listen to the recording because the music stopped for a split second and then went like time and a half after that.
Really?
Yeah,
That was
it
weird.
sped way up. Well, not way up, but it sped up.
Huh. Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to go back and listen to it because it sounded fine on my end, but that doesn't mean that it's not jacked up because thanks to Windows, and I didn't go test everything because I turned this on expecting it all to work, and obviously that was not the case. So,
Well, we like to do special effects by accident. That's what we
yeah,
do.
yeah, we're good at that. We're good at that. So yeah, we were gone for a couple weeks there, not on purpose. 1 week because Kip was traveling, and that was a planned thing. The second one was not so planned. We go to sit down and record, and I lost power at my house, like, and not just my house, like the entire neighborhood. About 3 or 4 streets over here in my neighborhood lost power, and from my phone surfing on the Facebooks to see what was going on. Um, Found out that somebody saw a big flash of light and heard a loud boom, and there was a breaker that in a transformer up on a. I don't know. They're not up on poles. They're on the ground out here where everything's underground. But something blew up. Not a good thing. I'm gonna blame a squirrel.
It had to be a squirrel.
Yeah, I mean that's what. So back where my parents live, they still have everything above ground and or have a lot of things above ground, so there's still the transformers up on the poles. And I mean it was a ton, like that would happen probably once a month, once every other month, something like that, that we would lose power because a squirrel decided to try to climb along the electrical lines.
Yeah, but they only tried it once.
That squirrel only tried it once. The other ones were dumb enough to try it again. Like, what are you guys, idiots? Look, Cousin Freddy just got fried. Why are you trying this? Uh, I don't know, but they're squirrels. They're the rats with fluffy tails.
This is a true statement.
So, Yeah, that was last week. I would also like to chime in that the power decided to go out at the worst possible moment. Not only were we looking to record that night, uh, but my son was in the shower at the time because we had just gotten done with soccer practice. So, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in the bathroom and like turned off all the lights, like on purpose. No night lights or anything in there. Just turn off. It gets really dark in there. I got to give
Yeah.
props to my 10-year-old. He handled it like a champ. And all I heard was, Mom, Dad, someone? And of course, the moment the power went off, that was the first thing both of Amber and I looked at each other. We're like, oh shit, he's in the shower. Like, ran up there with my phone, turned on the flashlight, set it in the bathroom just so he had some sort of light so he could finish taking his shower. Like, yeah,
That's hilarious.
awesome. But it freaked out my youngest one enough that like he wouldn't leave our side. We had to like light up the house with candles and lanterns and all kinds of stuff. I broke out all the camping gear and um, even the next day, even because we got power back about 10:30 or so. We were out of power for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And when the next day when we had it on, my youngest one, Conley, still wouldn't leave. Like he didn't want to go. He had to take a shower after practice, and he wouldn't. Like he wanted us. Like he takes a shower in the master bathroom, and he wanted us in the master bedroom. Like somebody had to be in there in case the power went out. He's like, I don't want to be in here by myself. Like, fair enough. Fair enough. I hear your pain. I understand your frustrations. You're just going to have to deal with it. Uh, we are slowly, a week later, finally starting to get them to not be freaked out over losing power randomly. And that's the first time we've lost power, and I'm not even sure, like, years. Uh, Down here in our town,
Figured it had to be that since he was so freaked out.
yeah, we don't lose power down here. If we do, if we lose power down here, it's usually like a couple minutes, almost like they're working on something and they just need to connect a wire or flip a switch, or they have everything all ready. And you know, as sometimes when you're working on electricity, you get everything done like all the way up to the terminal point, and then flip it off, connect it, and flip it back on real quick. That's almost what it feels like sometimes, where we'll lose power just for a minute or two, not even long enough to reset the clocks or anything like that. And
Well, you need to live in a neighborhood like I do, where it's tall old trees and the power lines are in the air.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm actually happy with not losing power. So, and it's really funny because the other people in this town, they all complain about the electric bill and how expensive it is, and I'm like, dude, guys, like we don't pay half as what the people at KCP&L pay, and our power doesn't go out regularly. So, and when it does go out, it's fixed quickly. Like they fix stuff fast. Um, you know, this type of thing, a breaker transformer going bad or going out, like KCP&L, that would be like a 24-hour turnaround. Yeah, we'll get power back to you in a day. Like we got to order the part. It's got to come in from Amazon. We don't have Prime, so it's going to take a little longer to get here. We'll get your power on when we can. Uh, Down here in Gardner, we don't have that problem. It's back up quickly, so I like that.
Yeah, I've got KCP now. I haven't had a lot of time. Well, a lot of times if the power goes out, they're out here pretty quick. The last time we lost power was, I think, a snowstorm, and we
Yeah,
were out of power 2 or 3 days.
yeah,
But like the whole area was out of power. There were so many branches down and everything else that I didn't
yeah.
expect it to come back on within an hour.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's the nice thing. Also down here, we don't. There's the lines that are above ground. If those go out, then there's no power to the entire city. Like those are the big, high voltage transmission lines that are above ground. Like, those go down, the whole city's going to complain, and that doesn't really matter. There's nothing you can do about that. They safeguard those to try to make sure that they don't go down like that. But yeah, we are lucky enough to have everything underground. I like it. So yeah, we had that going on, and then we had I've talked about it before. I am now a soccer coach, and so we've had since we've missed a couple weeks. My boys have had a couple of games, so it's been fun. I've coached 2 soccer games of 8-year-olds, well, 7-year-olds actually. They're all 7 this year. They'll turn 8 next year, and I have come to the conclusion that soccer coaching 7-year-olds is like coaching cats to do stuff. Yeah, they listen when they want to. They do what they want when they want, and sometimes they'll follow a direction, but not
Well, maybe you need a
usually.
laser pointer and just point it at the ball then.
You know what, I should try that. I've been looking at possibly getting a really like high powered laser pointer. Like, maybe I should try that. See if that works. Just have them chase it around. Yo, run around in circles. Catch the dot. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. Definitely, there's good times, there's bad times, but so far, I gotta say, my little bunch of 7-year-olds, they lost one game, they won one game, but they have played really hard and they have not given up, and so it was good to see them get their first win, and really only the second time most of the kids have even played outdoors. So
Did they dump Gatorade on you when they won?
no, no.
Dang. Ungrateful little
Honestly,
shits.
that probably would have been nice because it was this last weekend where it was on Saturday at like 5:15 in the evening, and it was on turf, and it was 100 degrees outside, and on the turf it felt like 130 degrees. Like, my feet were on fire just standing there. So those kids were so exhausted. They were all out of water. They'd all brought big water jugs, and everybody was out of water because they were pouring it on their heads. They were so hot. It's just like, ugh. They could have dumped Gatorade on me. I'd have been fine with that. They cooled me off. So yeah, so we got that going on. That's the day in the life of me.
Yeah.
Anything fun
Well,
and
you
exciting going
missed
on?
2 weeks of podcasting, but I did not.
That's right. That's right. You did not.
Yeah. So there will be an episode of Daydream Instruction Manual coming out soon. I think I was told it's episode 123.
Yeah, I think
I'm on it.
That is super awesome that you got to do that too.
Yeah. So visiting Omaha, hanging out with the Podfather, we were sitting there talking. He goes, "You want to record?" Like, hell yeah, let's record.
Yeah, that is
so
super awesome.
We just talked Saturday morning cartoons and TV shows, like you would.
Yeah, why not? When you're with Eddie, that's what you got to do. No, that was great. Like, if you want to check it out, you can find it. If you want to check it out early, or at least an early cut of it, you can check it out on Facebook, on Daydream Instruction Manual's Facebook page. You guys recorded it live on Facebook, so that was cool. That's how I've watched it already. I can't wait to get the episode where I can download it and listen to the little things that Eddie's done to it in editing. So super cool.
Yeah, he goes hog wild on the editing.
Yeah, we're live to hard drive here. Geekvice is we probably won't even change if that recording did speed up the intro. We probably won't even change it. We'll just leave it just the way it is, and it'll be a special edition.
That's right. You get Geekvice unedited, warts and all.
That's right. I also like the fact that you guys called it Daydream Instruction Manual After Dark.
After Dark.
that was a great running line to the whole thing. It was a great conversation too. I thought it was really good. You guys should definitely go check that out. And on that same note, we'll talk a little bit about Kevin Smith's latest announcement that he is creating uh, a He-Man Masters of the Universe. What is it? He-Man Revelations, I think is what they called it. Uh, it's going to be a Netflix original show. Kevin Smith is directing, and I think he's probably got some writing in it too. But then some of the writers that he brought in for this, the one that I thought was really cool is if you follow Kevin Smith and his podcast and you listen to his podcast called Fat Man Beyond, he does that podcast with a guy named Mark Bernardin, and he's one of the writers, and he is really good. So I'm really excited to see what he does. Another one of the writers came from Supergirl that worked with Kevin Smith on that. And the animation studio is Powerhouse, which, if you've seen the Netflix Castlevania series, which is really good, I recommend it if you like anime and you like vampire hunting and killing. Then you should definitely check it out. But Powerhouse did that, and it's really good. The fight scenes are really awesome, and so it will allow Kevin Smith to do more of what he does best, which is not fight scenes. Because I don't know if you've seen Kevin Smith, he's not really a fighter. So
No. Maybe they'll play some hockey. I don't know.
Right? But, any thoughts, concerns, ideas?
Well, I'm hoping at some point He-Man is hanging out with somebody in front of Castle Grayskull, just loitering.
Yeah.
As a nod to Jay and Silent Bob.
That would be great. So the funny part about that, okay, so the fact that you bring that up makes me want to talk about this. So they made this announcement at PowerCon, which is like it's a He-Man centered convention, and they're on. The way they did the announcement was great. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's on. You can find it on Kevin Smith's YouTube channel. But they had they have all this group up there, and you could tell they've gone on long enough, and Kevin Smith will talk for hours anyway. Well, Jason Mewes comes walking up on the stage, and they're like, "What's Jason doing here?" And he's like, "And I'm gonna be the voice of He-Man." And you see the look on everybody's face, like they all look at him like, "What?" And he's like, "No, just kidding. I just came up here because I needed to cut you guys. I was told to come up here and cut you guys off and take a picture." But it was like he killed it right then. Like it was great. Like it was so perfect because he comes walking up there and he's like, "And I'm gonna be He-Man, Snoochie Boochie." It's like, oh, yeah, way to drop a bomb there. So yeah, that was. I really hope there is, even if it's not. Even if it's not He-Man, if it's like a couple other characters, like I would love to see, just a couple of characters just standing in front of it, just hanging out, maybe smoking a joint, just for the classic nod. It would be great. I think it'd be fun.
Heck yeah! And then when Skeletor gets defeated, he can say, "I wasn't even supposed to be here today."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think it's really cool. I think the idea behind this, or I think the part of it that I'm most excited for isn't, I enjoyed He-Man growing up, but I wasn't as big of a He-Man fan as I was as like Eddie or the guys on Make Eternia Great Again. But what I like about this is the fact that they're bringing in high quality writers, they're bringing in a high quality director, and they're doing this the right way. And if this is successful for Netflix and Mattel the same way the Voltron series on Netflix was, if it's successful to the point where they are able to run their course, they run it the seasons they want to run it, they tell the story they want to run, and they're not cut early, then that gives hope for other shows, like other ideas, other properties to say, hey, look, Voltron did it and they did it like this and it was successful. He-Man did it and they did it like this and it was successful. And I think that will, like, it could lead ways to, other shows that are even older than those. Me personally, I want to see a new Transformers cartoon, but I want it to be done. I don't want it to be done like the stuff that's out there now that's really geared towards kids. I want it to be done like Voltron and like what I think this He-Man show is going to be. It's going to be a well-written, good story that's not, you know, uh, not written to the lowest common denominator. It's just going to be a
Well,
good story.
it's that, and you know, when you're a fanboy, there's always this idea of what your perfect version of that thing you're a fan of. Well, now we get to see what that looks like when a fanboy has the resources to do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, everything he thought it should be, he gets to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's really cool. I'm excited for it. So there's that.
Which is great.
Yeah. So the other thing we should probably throw out there before we get into your awesome board game that I'm excited to hear about, we should probably talk about the news that just kind of came out here recently. That is Sony and Disney not coming to terms.
Can we just do 5 minutes of booing? I think that's kind of
Sure. Yeah.
where we're at with that.
This is where I need a soundboard and I can just hit the.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's one. I think it's awful, but here's what I really think about it. I don't think this is done. I think this is information that is absolutely true. They probably have not come to terms. They are probably, there is probably some real negotiation going on. There's probably some strong arming involved. But I feel like this story is meant, it is put out there by one side or the other. I haven't read the article yet. I'm just going off of information that I'm hearing and that I'm seeing. But I feel like it's either one, it's clickbait that has absolutely nothing to it, or two, this is just a negotiation tactic from one side or the other that's trying to make the other side look not as good. And honestly, both sides have something to lose here. The Spider-Man movies before Marvel was involved were not as good as they were after Marvel was involved. Marvel wants Spider-Man in their MCU. They want him there. You can tell by the way those stories were written and the way he was involved in the Avengers movies, Endgame and Infinity War both. Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man was an integral part in those movies. They want him in it. This deal will get worked out. The MCU will keep Spider-Man. It's just both parties are trying to get the cheapest deal.
Well, it's if that's the case, it's working because I'm looking at an IGN article that says news of Spider-Man potential leaving the MCU has left some fans starting petitions and claiming they'll boycott Sony's films, not Sony's, and even PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I mean and if I find a hard, sure, that's possible. I don't think that that's going to hit. Well, one, if you boycott the PlayStation 4, that doesn't hurt Sony and it doesn't hurt the movie property. That hurts the gaming side. They're two different entities, same global company, but that's like saying you hate peanut butter, so you're gonna stop buying chocolate. Um, Actually, that doesn't really make any sense at all. But
That I was gonna say, I don't even know where you're going there.
but you know what I mean. It's not like that boycott doesn't make sense. Now boycotting the movie, sure, you could boycott the movie and do what you feel is necessary there. I don't I don't think it's gonna come to that. I honestly don't. I think this is gonna work out just fine. I think Disney is trying to get the cheapest price, and they're, you know, not wanting to pay top dollar. Sony is saying, hey, um, this is our thing. You screwed up and sold it to us in the first place. You're going to pay a premium for this awesome character that you really need. I We're a long ways off before Marvel really truly needing Spider-Man again. Disney has all the leverage in the world. Spider-Man's not on their list of movies for Phase 4 yet. He doesn't have to be there. So Sony better be careful because they have more to lose than Marvel does. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
and I hope you're right because this last Spider-Man movie was just so good.
Yeah, yeah. And Sony can try to make it themselves, but realistically, they're not going to be able to. They've already shown they don't have the money for it. Like that's why the other ones weren't like that. They they don't have the money, they don't have the backing, they don't have the resources, whatever it is, or they don't care. They meddle too much. I don't know what it is, but the movies weren't bad, but they weren't as good as the last two. They weren't as good as Homecoming, and they sure as hell weren't as good as whatever the last one was, Far From Home. Like that was an incredible movie. So Sony, do whatever you think's necessary. Disney, do whatever you think's necessary. But in the end of the day, you two better learn to get along and work together because we all want Spider-Man. And if you're gonna boycott Sony, you better plan on boycotting Marvel too, or better yet, Disney, because they're both to blame if there's no Spider-Man.
You heard it here first.
Can't have a fight with one person. I argue with myself all the time, but it doesn't
I
really
was gonna
work.
say, how can you say that? You've been married.
Because I mean, I'm always wrong because I'm married, so it's not really a fight.
Fair enough.
So that's my 2 cents on Marvel, Spider-Man, Sony, love-hate relationship. They all just need to find a padded room, box it out, and work it out.
And film that.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Stakes are high. I want to know.
all right. I've been swimming in the crazy ocean of life trying to avoid sharks. You've been playing a board game trying to get eaten by sharks?
It depends.
Oh,
So, went to Omaha.
yeah.
Um, one of the things that when you travel, it's hard to get enough water to drink. So,
Yeah.
decided to go to Target and get some bottled water to keep in the fridge in the hotel room.
Smart move.
Yeah. Walking around the store, I
As you do.
spy with my little eye this
Jaws.
Jaws by Ravensburger. And what's funny about that was it was in my head before I walked into the store. And it's like, well, it's there. I'll take a look. It was there. It was cheap. I freaking bought it.
So, before you go any farther, I have to say I absolutely love Target to go there for board games. One, they usually have a really good selection of board games. I mean, not like a local gaming store. level of selection, but they have some stuff that I've never seen before, which actually look kind of cool, and their prices are not ridiculously stupid. You can find some really good sales on stuff there too. I'm impressed with Target and their board game selection. So anyway,
So and this is not paid by Target, by the way.
no, no, that's true.
So
Now, if they want to sponsor us, though, feel free to email us at geekvice@gmail.com.
we will take payment in gift cards.
Yeah,
Just
or
so
board
you know.
games.
Yeah. So what I like about it so far, before I even open the packaging, is I love how the box looks like the movie poster from 1976.
That is awesome.
Or 75, whenever the hell this movie came out. I think it was 75.
I think it was 75.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So open it up. It's pretty basic on the inside. Components are good, all that other stuff. The interesting part is the gameplay. So it is a semi-cooperative game.
Ooh.
In 2 acts.
Okay.
Act 1, it takes place on and around Amity Island.
Okay.
Act 2 takes place on and around the boat Orca.
Yes.
So, how the hell do you play this game? I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
How you play this game is one person is Jaws, and up to 3 people are Quinn, Hooper, and Brody.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
so all 3
awesome.
of those are always into play.
Okay.
So if you're playing a 2-person game, the person who is playing the hunters plays all 3 of the characters.
Okay. All right.
So it's like Fury of Dracula in that respect. You know, all the Dracula hunters are in the game no matter how many people are playing.
Gotcha.
Jaws is that way. So the first part of the game, Act 1, is pretty simplistic. It is a hidden movement game. Of course, Jaws being the character that's hidden. And you have a little pad of paper where you write down your starting location, and then you have certain actions you can do, like move, eat swimmers, and that's it. You have 3 actions, 2 to choose from, so you can do the same one multiple times, up to 3, obviously. So Act 1, the shark's goal is to eat as many swimmers as possible. The hunters is you need to get 2 barrels stuck into the shark.
All right.
Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
So the hunters, Quinn starts out on his boat, Hooper's in a boat, and Brody is on land.
Okay.
And you're like trying to feed barrels to Quint while rescuing swimmers, looking for the shark, closing beaches, trying to do all this stuff. And if the shark eats 9 swimmers or the hunters sink 2 barrels into the shark, Act 1 ends. The number of swimmers the shark eats is very important because there are special cards in Act 2 that the shark and the crew members get. The more swimmers are eaten, the more cards the shark gets, the less cards the hunters get.
Oh.
And it's a sliding scale, so if the shark doesn't do very well, he didn't do himself any favor with his special cards, but the hunters get all of these, so got to be careful there. You got to take chances as a shark and eat as many swimmers as possible. I learned that the hard way. I was the shark the first time I played, and one of the things is Quinn can just shoot barrels out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're there, he sticks a barrel in you. If you're not there, the barrel stays in the water and now is a sensor. If you swim into that location, you have to tell them you triggered that sensor. You don't tell them
Gotcha.
until the end of your turn, so they don't know if it was one movement, two movement, where you ended, any
Right.
of that stuff. But that's very important that you got to realize you're going to trigger these things. I went out of my way to avoid them, which meant I had turns go by where I didn't need any swimmers,
Mm.
trying to keep my movement completely hidden, and that was not the way to do it. I only ate 5 swimmers. This is weird saying things like that. I only ate 5 swimmers. But so I didn't end up with as many shark power cards as I would like to have had, because when it came down to the end, I was basically just a plain old shark, and they
Yeah.
were shooting at me with everything they had. Um, so they sunk the 2 barrels in me. So what you do is you flip the board over,
Okay.
which has the outline of the ship, and then you have these cardboard pieces that I think there's 8 of them, 4 on each side of the boat, and you build the boat. It's flat, but it's the looking down at the boat. One
Okay.
side of the boat is completely intact on the tile. You flip the tile over, it's damaged. If you completely destroy that part of the boat, you just take the tile off. So, Act 2, the goals are for the shark: either kill all the hunters or completely destroy the orca. You do either one of those things, you win. The hunters is kill the shark.
Sure.
So, the way the second phase is played, you have, and let me just pull this out so I don't screw up the names, because I will. Oh, by the way, here's the comic book for Mega.
Nice.
You have, I'm not digging all these cards out, so I'll just look it up in here. You have what's called resurface cards.
Okay.
And the shark gets 3 tokens, A, B, and C. And then on the board, there's an A, B, and C that you flip 3 resurface cards over, and those cards will have a location on the boat that you attack,
Okay.
a defense value, and how many dice you roll to attack as the shark.
Gotcha.
The good guys each have gear that they
Mm-hmm.
get no matter how many swimmers are eating, and then they get more gear based on how many swimmers are eating.
Gotcha.
And so you lay out these resurface cards. The shark decides whether they're going to play one of his special power cards or not, and which location he's actually going to choose.
Okay.
He does that with the token. It's not double. It's has the letter on one side, shark fin on the other. So he just sets it down with the shark fin side up, so the good guys
Nobody
can't see
knows,
it.
right?
And then the good guys decide what weapon they're going to use, where they're going to be on the boat, and then they get these little target tokens and say, this is where I'm attacking,
Okay.
not knowing where you are.
Awesome. I
And,
like
and then
this.
when they do that and they're ready, then the shark flips over and says, this is where I'm going to be. You put your little shark token in that area, and then the good guys get to attack you. And the way the attacks work is there are these dice that have a blank face, some faces with only one POW looking thing, and then one side that has 2. And depending on your weapon and stuff like that, depends on how many of those dice you roll. 3 is the most you can roll. And you roll those with whatever gear you have, and you look and see how many, I guess, damages you do. You subtract that from the shark's defense on that resurface card, and that's the damage you do to the shark. Most of the time, the resurface card is like a 1 or a 2. So if you roll a 2 or less, chances are you did no damage to the shark.
Right.
The shark takes 18 points of damage before it dies.
That's
They give you this
awesome.
nice card with a little slider so you can keep track of that. It's 2-sided for each act. So the first side, you keep track of how many swimmers you eat. The second side, you keep track of your health.
That's awesome.
The good guys have cards that are pretty similar. The Act 1 side, there's no need for the slider. It just tells you what you're allowed to do. Act 2, they have 6. You take 6 damage and they die. So, once the 3 heroes, if you will, take their shots at the shark, you tally up the damage. That's what's done to the shark.
Yeah.
And now the shark gets to go. If nobody's in the water, you attack the boat. And the boat tile cards have 2 values on them. There will be a small number and a larger number. The smaller number is how many pows you get on the die, how many hits. And the number of dice you roll is determined by the resurface card. It'll have 1, 2, or 3 on there.
Sure.
So you roll your dice, you look and see if you've met the damage, which is the lower number, or the higher number, which is you completely destroyed that section.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. The trick of it is if one of the good guys is on that section and you damaged or destroyed it, they're now in the water. If they're in the water, you get a bonus action per swimmer to attack. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And how it sounds, it sounds like, oh, heck, all you do is attack this and they fall in the water and you do your stuff. Technically, yes. Reality is up to you. I played it way too safe. I almost got I got 6 out of the 8 pieces of the boat destroyed, and then I was killed.
Yeah.
I think if I was a little more aggressive in Act 1, I might have done better. I would have had more power cards. Because some of your power cards are like, no matter what section of the boat you hit, all the guys fall in the water.
Right.
The people have to be either in your spot or adjacent spot for you to be able to attack them.
Yeah.
But that's perfect if they're all nearby. You attack the boat, they all fall in. It's like, all right, mealtime. But
Right.
and then there's power. Then there's certain weapons that the good guys have that actually do damage over time. DOT.
Gotcha. Right.
And like a flare, if you stick a flare in him, each round you have to roll a die, take that damage.
Well, I'm assuming once you fall into the water, once one of the guys falls into the water, he's going to take an attack. You're going to attack him because you get the bonus attack to attack him, but then he gets a chance to either, like, one, that lets everybody know where you're at. They're going to be attacking you right there, but then they're also going to be trying to get him out of the water as well.
Yeah, so what happens is good guys attack, shark attacks. Then the shark goes back out in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
You clear the resurface cards, and you place 3 more, and you do it again.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
the shark can come in a completely different spot next time, and they have no idea.
Yeah, so after you get an attack on the guy that fell into the water, then it's like, okay, then you swim off, he comes back out onto the boat, and you do it all over again, right?
Well, so each guy has 2 moves, 2 spaces of movement on his turn.
Okay.
To get back up onto the boat takes 2 actions.
Yeah, so it's going to put him back just to the edge of the boat.
It's just going to get him back on the boat. So if he wanted to move to another location, too bad for him.
Right.
And if you can manage to get him in the water and destroyed that piece, Then it takes one move to get to the next section.
And then he's got to wait a turn to be able to get back
Yeah.
up onto it.
Or he
Awesome.
jumps, it's... Or
That's
he
cool.
could just go... So the boat has two halves, obviously.
Right.
And water surrounding it. Well, if you remove a section, now the water... And you can't go from one side of the boat in the water to the other side of the boat without swimming all the way around or just going through the boat.
Mm-hmm.
You remove a tile from the middle there because you killed it. Now they can just get to the other side of the boat because that's available to them because now it's adjacent to the water. So there's all these little movement things. You don't get to go diagonal. You only get to go orthogonally and stuff like that. But thankfully, it's hard enough to be the shark as it is, let alone those guys getting to do all that stuff. But
that sounds really cool.
It's a pretty simplistic game. I mean, like I said, it is straightforward hidden movement in Act 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then Act 2, here's 3 possible places the shark is going to attack. The shark's going to decide which one he's going to do. The other 3 people decide where they're going to defend, and then you see what happens.
I like it.
So it's pretty simplistic. The tagline on the game says, "A game of strategy and suspense." I buy that. You actually do feel it a little bit when you are... And I played as the shark.
Yeah.
And I felt pursued.
That's
and especially in Act 1. Act 2, I felt targeted because I was, and played too conservatively. There was a few turns went by that I attacked nothing because I was running out of hit points, and it was painfully obvious where I would be attacking if I decided to attack, so I didn't attack. So there's some luck of the draw on shuffling the deck, the resurface deck, to get lucky enough that parts of the boat are kind of separated. That gives you more of a... It could be on this end of the boat or this end of the boat, on the right side or left side, or port and bow if you are an actual boat person.
I don't know what you just said there, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah. Don't let the simplicity of it chase you away. The game's a lot of fun. Had a good time. What I like about it is we played it over lunch at work. It was easy to teach, easy to set up, easy to tear down. Yeah. The components that you use for Act 1, you don't use in Act 2. I found that fascinating. Say in the rules, do set up, you do this, this, and this, and set the other components aside. They won't be used in this act. And it's like, that's interesting. And then you go to the next act, and all the stuff you used in Act 1, you push to the side because it's not used. So
that's cool.
It's basically 2 games in 1.
That is cool. And I just lost my camera.
And you locked up.
Nope, I'm still here. You can still hear me, right? No? Oh, shit. Hold on.
All right, so he is stuck.
I am... Come on.
And I'm still here.
Can you hear me?
I don't know what to do. I'm going to text you and say, hey, you're locked up.
I'm still there, but
anyway,
stupid microphone.
I highly recommend Jaws. It's cheap. I think it was $30 at Target. Not bad. $25, $30. Good starter game. Good game for those who aren't serious gamers. Good time had by all. And text is sent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if he doesn't come back soon, we're just going to end here.
Yeah. Yeah. Son of a...
Which is funny as hell.
Oh, come on.
Another thing I like about this game, I'll show you guys why he's frozen. That's the shark. Pretty funny token. And these are the boats. and the people. So, good quality there. And if you're listening into it, you can't see any of that stuff. You'll just have to take my word for it. The component quality is good. The artwork on the board is good. I love the movie poster for the cover. Everything is great.
I can't get my damn thing to work. You piece of crap. Check.
So that's all we got for now. So thank you for tuning in. Join us next week when we have even more technical difficulties. You know, you could take a bet with your friends to see which one it is this time. This time it was a frozen microphone and camera. So there you go.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.
You piece of crap.